So today I'm going to try and get the motorcycle running. First thing I'm going to do is I'm taking these little metal bands off, and I'm going to unplug the harness and see if we have spark, and that'll tell me if it's motorcycle's wiring harness or if it's the coil or points or condenser. I gotta turn the camera off to get that apart, but when you turn the key, that's run. When you turn it to off, it completes a circuit to ground to stop the motor, and the same with this. So if there's something wrong with one of these and they're shorted to ground, this or the wiring will eliminate that by unplugging this. So the engine should have spark if there's a problem with this or the wiring with this unplugged. If it still does not have spark, then I'll remove the gas tank and we'll go from there. So I got the plug connector to the engine disconnected, and we'll give the Kickstarter a couple kicks here. I pulled the plug and just pulled it. See if it has spark. And I'm seeing no spark, so I'm going to start pulling the fuel tank now to get to the coil. So basically, to get the fuel tank off, I disconnect the fuel hose from the carburetor, take that out of it goes into there, take this bolt off, and the tank should slide back and off. Wow, came right loose. Nothing's been apart on this thing since it was new. I was expecting these bolts. Yeah, it needs a bath, that's for sure. This tank has got quite a bit of gas in it, more than I expected, so I'm going to drain that after I get it running. Okay, so here's I'll show you where the coil is. It's right there. Alright, a little better view. The coil, the condenser, the wire to the condenser. This is all to the coil here. That goes into the harness. It's probably part of the kill. So let me figure out what wire is what here, and we'll get the coil tester out and give it a try. And these are the squeaky gas tank grommets and part of the thing to hold the wiring. Take it off so I can move kind of shift the wiring out of the way there. I want to try and take things apart without, so I can reuse the stuff, like this little plastic band I'm going to try and get off without damaging it. So yeah, I got this off. I didn't even damage the little thing here. So I can put that back on when I'm done. So, you know, just try and keep things the way it was manufactured. So my coil tester has a battery in it, a 7.5 volt battery, and it's dead. I put a rechargeable NiCad in it, and so it'll probably take 15 or 20 minutes to get that charged up enough to work this thing. Usually you put a big old battery in there, but I just use this. And I just unplug it. So 7.2 volt battery. This is 7.5 volt. You put a big dry cell in there. Well, they're expensive and they don't last that forever, so I use this, and I got this charger here, which just plugs into the cigarette lighter of the car and we'll charge this thing up. Okay, so I just plugged it into the truck, and I think 15 minutes is how long it takes to charge. It's a fast charger. This is like for those racing cars, you know, my brother used to race radio controlled cars and boats, and this was for the cars. He raced both gas and electric, but I think that was for one of his electrics, I'm not sure. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and charge the battery. You can see there's water in it. This cell center one's pretty low, but it has water. But generally the water level goes down when the battery goes dead, and the water level is at the lower level. So I'm going to charge it because it'll probably raise the water level up, and then I'll top it off once it's charged, if it takes a charge. If it doesn't, I'll just get a new battery. This will be the battery charger I use. It's 12 volt or 6 volt. It's set on 6 volt. You don't want to use a very big charger on these little motorcycle batteries, so 1 amp is more than enough. So when charging your battery, I always loosen the caps or just take them off and set them loosely on, because these batteries do bubble and build up a little pressure, and it should vent out there, but if it doesn't and the battery explodes, it makes a mess. And so that's why I just set the caps loosely, and I'll charge it for an hour or two, and then I'll add some water to it if it needs it. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if that battery's any good, like I say. Alright, the tester's hooked up. The one lead to where the spark plug goes in, the other to the coil, and the other to the ground. And if the coil is good, it will spark in that little window right there. And I'm not getting anything, so I'm going to say the coil is bad. It's not doing anything. Let me do a couple other checks here. Okay, just made sure all connections were good, and we're going to try it one more time. And we have spark, but it's really got to crank it to get it, so it should be sparking much sooner. I'll have to look up the specs. But I think we got a bad coil. It just seems like it takes too much to get spark out of it. So I have like a weed eater coil hooked up to it right now. And it is no good. So I was just going to try it, but that is a bad coil. That's probably why it got torn apart and used for parts. So I don't know why saving a coil. You can kind of see where the discolored right there. So yeah, it's probably a bad coil. But anyway, I was just horsing around with it. But I think we got a bad coil on the motorcycle. I think that it should spark sooner when turning that dial, so I'll get a new coil. I cleaned and re-gapped the points really well, and the condenser's okay. So I really think that the points were pretty dirty. I cleaned them up and re-gapped them, and I even plugged the harness back in and checked again with the key on, and it just doesn't spark. So that being that it takes a lot to get it to blow spark, is probably not getting enough current out of the coil here to spark it. And this doesn't need a battery to run. Some of the Hondas, the older Hondas, if you didn't have a battery in them, charged battery, they wouldn't run. This will run without the battery. I've done it before. Seeing I was getting spark out of the coil, but really having to lay it on, there's one more thing I want to check, and that's this. These have a resistor in them, and if that resistor is bad, it could be causing it not to spark from this to the plug. So I took this off, obviously, and I'm going to strip this back enough to where I can get some wire to put my tester directly to the spark plug wire. Alright, I just hooked the tester right directly to the wire there, and we'll see what happens now. Nah, it's still about the same. So it's running up on the DC. It's about 8.5, 9 volts to get it to spark, and this is a 6-volt electrical system, so it's probably the coil that is bad. So let me get a new coil ordered here, and I'll order that spark plug and too. That may be defective too. So I'll get this ordered and that. I got the microfiche in the viewer for this, so I got the part number for that, part number for this, and I'll just go in the search because I want the OEM Honda stuff. I don't want this cheap aftermarket stuff that, you know, this stuff's lasted a long time, so I'm sure if I get OEM stuff it'll last too. So I put the plug back in. I think I'll just set the gas tank back in place, and we'll wait for parts, and when they come in, we'll see what happens. It may be a week. I ordered them on eBay, so I got the exact correct part number for the coil coming, and I got the spark plug end here coming, but this little end, the correct part number for it is coming from Indonesia, so that might be a couple months, month anyway, from overseas. So we may put this on the new coil and see if we can get it going, and then when that new part comes in I'll just put it on. So I'm just going to halfway throw it together just so nothing gets damaged. And I think I'll clean the stinky gas out of the tank before I set it back on too. So I got the tank just draining into a bottle there. The gas looks good, it just smells bad, and there's no crud in the tank, and you can see that chrome cleans up pretty nice. I just hit it with some chrome polish and it looks like brand new chrome on there. So I think all the chrome will polish up nice. It's just been neglected, and we'll get it looking good. I'll show you the inside of the tank. I'll get my flex light out. Here I got my Sears Bendalite out, and you can see there's the old gas down in there. But other than that, the tank is really clean. So I'll just let it drain out, maybe put a little fresh gas in there. Alright. Yeah, I had close to a full gallon old stinky gas in it, so I'm going to blow the gas tank out with some compressed air and just throw it back on the motorcycle so it doesn't get damaged. Well, now that the tank is empty, you can see it's a really nice clean tank. So I'm going to just throw this back on the motorcycle so it doesn't get buggered up, scratched. Just a little tiny dent right there. If you get the light just right, you can see it. That was in it while it was on the showroom floor. And the dealer ordered a new tank before the motorcycle was delivered, and it was completely smashed. And then they ordered another tank and it was all scratched up. And I think after the 4th or 5th tank they got in that was all damaged, we just said the heck with it and left this tank on it. So that little tiny wee dent has been since it was new. It was on the showroom floor with it. Alright, so I went down in the basement through my parts hoard and I found a used coil, and it has sparks, so I think I'll get it out and pressure wash it. So we definitely had a bad coil. I'll put a new one on it, seeing I got a new one coming for it, but there it is running, so I can take it out and wash it and crank it up to dry. And it's got fresh gas in it. Now I put about a quart of fresh alcohol-free gas in it. Sorry the noise in here, I got the ventilator going. That gasoline stunk pretty bad from it. So I took the gas tank off to get the engine better, and I'm going to hit a little of this stuff right here. This can was almost empty, that's why it's doing what it's doing. Throw that one away. I just had a couple partial cans, I thought I'd use some of it. Just to get the heavy stuff off the engine. See, I'm going to be taking it apart. It'd be nice to have it nice and clean. Put the points cover back on too. This way I can work on it while I'm waiting on the parts. Just don't like working on dirty things. Alright, that does the engine pretty good. We'll get the pressure washer cranked up and give it a squirt. Alright, the engine's a little cold on the pressure washer, obviously, but let's give it a Oh, sorry, I got you all wet. Alright, I dried you off a little bit. I'm going to give the tires a little scrub too. Get the mud off the sides of them. Try and clean it up. Alright, we'll do the back tire too, and I'm not going to bore you with running a scrub brush. I did put a little thing over the gas inlet to prevent water from going into the carburetor, but yeah, it's cleaned up. I took the tool kit out and the side cover, which has the owner's manual and tool kit, which it's still there, all original. So let me dry it up a little bit and we'll get it cranked up. And it is road legal, but I'm not going to take it out in case that coil goes kaput. So I'm just going to ride it up and down the driveway and drag the brakes out in the engine and call it done. So I blew it all off. Let's see if it starts up. Might still be wet. Give it a choke. Run and dry up, and while it's just sitting there idling, I'm gonna winterize the pressure washer again, and then I'll ride this around a little bit. Yeah, all this noise or cleaning the streets of leaves. It's nice here, you can just blow the leaves out to the street. They come and clean them up. Pretty good job. That's such a lifesaver that they clean the street up. My dad's, I have to bag them. What a pain in the butt that is. It's so nice just being able to blow them to the street. But a little bit of condensation coming out the tailpipe. Runs good. We can start tearing it apart and fixing the oil leak and put a clutch in it and get the frame powder coated, do whatever we need to make the thing look nice again. Okay, so let's just take it for a little ride around the yard. Brakes are a little grabby because they're wet. Dry them out. I can still feel the engine, feel a misfire in the engine when I hit the gas hard. It chokes off. It must be the coil. It must be weak, maybe. Well, that time it picked up and ran okay. Yeah, it's a little narrow in here for this, but I've ridden it in more narrow parts. Well, the brakes are getting, well, maybe I had to drag them, get them high. That's the front brake. That's the rear brake. Alright, I think the brakes are dried up. Dragged them around the driveway. Looks my neutral light's out. But we got it running now and clean. Alright, good enough. So as I have time, I'll start working on taking it apart, and I'll make videos of that. The air cleaner cover, I haven't even looked at the air cleaner. I can't remember when. Probably is disintegrated. This has extra fuses there. It has a fuse holder on the other side. See if we need to order an air cleaner. No, air cleaner looks pretty good. So we don't need to order an air cleaner. A little noisier with the cover off. Looks like it's missing one of those rubber washers. I'll have to hunt around for another one for the air cleaner air box. A little noisier when you run it without the air box on, that's for sure. But we'll see if we can find some of them too. I probably have extra ones around somewhere, but that's about it for today. This, obviously, you know, I didn't put the clutch cable or any of the wiring stuff back in. I did set the battery back in place, but I left the vent off, and this I did connect back up, but it's not strapped on. You know, there's no point. It's all coming back apart, so I just wanted to wash it and get it dry, nice and dry. And the engine's pretty warm, so we'll call it good. So this is the owner's manual. Just held in with Velcro, and I think my brother took the manual out of here so it wouldn't, so it wouldn't get wet or ruined. But I do have the owner's manual, the original manual for it. And the toolkit, a little strap that holds the toolkit on. And this is the, you know, when you're out riding in the woods, they're kind of a must. But all the tools are in there. So toolkit and owner's manual, and I'll get the owner's manual for my brother. I'm just going to leave the covers off. There's no point in putting them back on or the toolkit back in. So there we go. It's clean now, so I can start ripping into it. So Dave Robertson, a friend of mine that I used to ride with a lot, emailed me last night after he watched my video and said he used to work at Honda City in '79, and now that I think about it, I remember that. And so just wanted to add that to this video. So again, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.